My name's Logan Pierce, I'm 44 years old and have spent the last 21 years driving a long-haul rig across the country. Not a glamorous life, but it paid the bills, kept food on the table, and funded my wife Rachel's lifestyle, a lifestyle she never truly appreciated. For weeks, I'd been ignoring a tightness in my chest. Figured it was just stress. The late nights, junk food, and truck stop coffee catching up to me. But somewhere outside of Tulsa, it got bad, real bad. I had to pull over and call 911 myself. I barely remember the paramedics. Just the rush of air and flashing lights. They flew me out to a hospital in Kansas City. That's where everything went dark. Turns out, it wasn't just a panic attack, it was full-blown heart failure. I flatlined twice on the operating table. When I woke up 2 days later, I was surrounded by machines, with a stent in my heart and a nurse telling me I was lucky to be alive. I didn't feel lucky. Instinctively, I grabbed my phone. Only one message waited for me. Not from family, not from a friend, from Rachel. We'd been married 16 years. No kids. Just a modest home in Missouri and quiet evenings when I wasn't on the road. Her message included a screenshot of our joint bank account, balance $0. Underneath, she wrote, "After everything I've done for you, I deserve this. Over $59,000, my emergency savings, truck maintenance fund, even a bit I'd tucked away for retirement, wiped clean." I didn't feel rage. Not even shock. Just a cold kind of emptiness, like the wind had been knocked out of my soul. I stared at the screen for a minute, then sent her a thumbs-up emoji. That was it. Nothing more. When the doctor came in, he told me I needed to take it easy, no stress, no driving, no drama for at least 6 weeks. "Is someone picking you up tomorrow?" he asked. Yeah, I lied. I already knew I wasn't going home. That night in the hospital, sleep never came. My body was exhausted, but my mind wouldn't stop replaying the message from Rachel. 16 years together. And all I got was a single sentence and a zeroed-out account. I lay in that stiff bed, staring at the ceiling tiles, thinking about all the miles I'd driven to provide for us. All the nights I spent alone in truck stops just so she could live comfortably. And now this? The next morning, I made a call to someone I hadn't spoken to in over a year, my younger brother, Travis. We weren't estranged, just lived separate lives. He worked construction in Springfield, 2 hours from my house. Divorced twice, no kids, brutally honest, but dependable when it counted. "You okay?" he asked, after picking up on the first ring. "Not really. I need a place to lay low for a while. And I need you to keep it quiet, especially from Rachel." There was a pause. Then, "Come on over. Whatever you need." I checked myself out of the hospital later that day against medical advice. Told the staff someone would be picking me up. Instead, I grabbed a cab and took the back roads to Travis's place, tucked away near the edge of town. His guest room was small but clean, and for now, it was more home than home had ever felt. As I lay on the spare mattress, Travis knocked softly on the door. "You want to tell me what's going on?" "She drained our account while I was unconscious," I said. "All of it. Over 59 grand. Then left a text saying she deserved it." His eyebrows raised, but he didn't say, "I told you so." Just handed me a cold beer and said, "You're staying as long as you need." I wasn't sure what the next move was. I hadn't even begun to process it all. But one thing was clear, Rachel had no idea I was alive, or that I was coming for answers. And maybe more. Travis didn't press me for details, and I appreciated that. He was the kind of guy who let you sit with your thoughts until you were ready to speak. I spent the next day on his back porch, staring at the tree-lean, sipping lukewarm coffee, and trying to figure out how everything had fallen apart without me seeing it coming. But then again, maybe I had seen it, and just ignored it. I kept thinking about the house. Just 3 months ago, I had refinanced the mortgage. Rates had dropped, and Rachel said she was too busy with work to come to the appointment. So, I signed everything myself. At the time, it felt like no big deal. But now, I realized that the house was in my name only. Rachel never even asked to see the paperwork. Then there was the medical power of attorney I'd updated last year. One of my long-haul buddies had a stroke, and his girlfriend wasn't able to make any decisions for him. It was a mess. That scared me enough to set one up for myself. My niece, Chloe, who's studying law at Missouri State, helped me get everything sorted. She had a sharp mind and zero patience for anything shady. At the time, it felt like overkill. Now it felt like armor. Travis noticed me deep in thought. "You planning to go back there?" "Not yet," I said. "She probably thinks I'm still in the hospital, or dead." He gave a short nod. "Then you've got the advantage. Don't waste it." That night, I didn't sleep much. My body still ached. But it wasn't just the surgery. It was the realization of how many things I'd missed: Rachel checking her phone under the dinner table, her passwords suddenly changing. Her weekend trips with coworkers that I never questioned. Maybe I didn't want to see the truth before. But now I did. And I was done playing blind. By the third day at Travis's place, the numbness began to wear off, replaced by something sharper. Not rage, exactly. Something colder. Focused. Rachel thought she could blindside me while I was unconscious and I'd just roll over and disappear. But I wasn't built that way. Not anymore. That morning, I got a message from our old neighbor, Marty, who lived 2 houses down from us. He texted, "Haven't seen you around, Logan. Everything okay? Rachel's got some guy over. Been there a few days." I stared at the screen for a long time before locking the phone. Didn't reply. I didn't need to. It confirmed what I already suspected. That afternoon, Travis drove me downtown to the main branch of our bank, not the local one where Rachel and I were familiar faces, but the corporate office. I asked to speak with a fraud specialist, a woman named Ms. Jennings. She was professional but kind, and when I told her I'd been hospitalized, unconscious, and that my wife had drained our joint account without my consent, I saw her jaw tighten slightly. "I understand, Mr. Pierce," she said, examining the printout I handed over, the screenshot Rachel had sent, timestamped while I was still under sedation. But since it was a joint account, she technically had legal access. "I understand," I said quietly, "but I want to start a fraud investigation anyway." She nodded, respectful. "We'll need verification of your medical records, confirmation you were incapacitated at the time of the withdrawals." "That won't be a problem. And if this escalates to criminal proceedings," she added, "law enforcement may get involved." I met her eyes. "Let them." On the way home, we stopped at a gas station. Travis filled up the tank while I sat in the car, watching a man and his 2 kids buy popsicles from the convenience store. It was a picture of normal life, something I hadn't had in years. Something I wasn't sure I even wanted anymore. That night, I made 3 calls. The first to my dispatcher, telling him I was out on medical leave. The second to the credit union where I kept a quiet personal account. The third, to Blake Monroe, Travis's lawyer friend. "I need to know exactly where I stand," I told him. And that's when things started to move. Blake Monroe was sharp, direct, and didn't waste time. We met at Travis's kitchen table the next morning. He wore a button-down shirt with sleeves rolled up and brought a manila folder stuffed with notes, printouts, and legal pads. "I reviewed your situation," he began, flipping through the documents. "You're in a stronger position than you think, especially with the house in your name and medical documentation proving incapacitation during the withdrawals. And the money? I asked. He frowned. That's murkier. Joint accounts are shared by law. But if we can show financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult, especially during a medical emergency, we might get traction. Your niece, Chloe, mentioned she helped you set up power of attorney? Yeah. She's good. Then let's use everything we've got. But for now, no contact with Rachel. Everything goes through me. Later that afternoon, I sat alone at Travis's place, laptop open, going through accounts Rachel didn't know existed, long-term investments I rarely touched, savings I'd kept separate not out of secrecy, but because she'd never cared enough to ask. I was in the middle of reviewing my small business tax filings when my phone buzzed. Rachel. Where are you? Your truck's gone from the depot. Did someone say I came by? No greeting. No concern. Just questions. Another ping followed seconds later. This is ridiculous, Logan. You can't just vanish. We need to talk. I didn't respond. Just put the phone down and closed my laptop. Travis leaned in from the hallway. That her? I nodded. You going to answer? Not yet. That night, I took a walk around the neighborhood. It was quiet, peaceful, the kind of stillness I never found on the road. For the first time in weeks, the weight in my chest didn't hurt. Not physically, anyway. As I stared at the stars, I realized something. I wasn't angry. I was finished. A week had passed since I left the hospital. The days were quiet, filled with paperwork, phone calls, and silent reflections. I was healing. Slowly, both in body and in understanding. But I still hadn't faced the full truth, until it came knocking. One afternoon, I got a text from Chloe, my niece. She'd been digging. Using her internship at the local credit union to quietly track any accounts with Rachel's name. The message was simple. Found something. You'll want to see this. An hour later, we met at a cafe near her campus. She slid a manila envelope across the table, no small talk. There's an account opened 18 months ago under Rachel's name, she said. All deposits under 10 grand. Always during your long-haul runs. She's been hiding it. I flipped through the statements. Consistent deposits. Almost too consistent. The current balance sat just above $120,000. She wasn't just preparing to leave, I muttered. She was planning an escape. Chloe shook her head. No, Uncle Logan. I don't think she planned to leave you, unless you left first. She was building a safety net. Just in case. Just in case I stopped being blind. The next day, Blake called with more news. One of his paralegals had flagged a hotel receipt in Minneapolis, 3 months ago. A 2-night stay charged to Rachel's card. I was in Seattle that week. The reservation wasn't under her name. It was under Martin Jensen. Marty. Our neighbor. The same guy who'd texted me, acting concerned, asking where I'd been. Blake's face was tight. We think he's been involved with Rachel for a while. Possibly the entire time she's been building that hidden account. The betrayal hit harder than I expected, not because of Rachel. I'd already accepted what she was. But Marty? The man who waved to me every time I left for another route, the guy who borrowed my power washer last summer. He'd been in on it the whole time. I want to move fast, I said. Blake gave a slow nod. Then it's time we stop reacting, and start pushing back. After the truth about Rachel and Marty settled in, the shock turned into strategy. I wasn't out for revenge. Not exactly. But I wasn't going to let them walk away clean. They had been planning for months. Now it was my turn. 2 mornings later, I returned to the house. I knew Rachel wouldn't be there. She worked a mid-level office job across town and usually didn't get home until 6. I parked a block away and approached on foot. From the outside, everything looked the same. Same shrubs, same porch swing. But it didn't feel like my house anymore. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The air smelled different, cologne I didn't recognize. The living room was clean, almost too clean, like it had been staged. There were 2 wine glasses in the dishwasher and a bottle of red in the recycling bin. I didn't look further. I was there with a purpose. I packed up what I needed, some clothes, my birth certificate, passport, the lockbox from the closet where I kept my most important papers. One thing struck me on the way out: the framed photo from our wedding, usually sitting on the hall table, was gone. Erased. Just like I had been. Back at Travis's. Blake and I spread documents across the table. He examined the photos I'd taken of the backyard, specifically the new shed and landscaping Rachel and Marty had added while I was on the road. "These are improvements made to property that legally belongs to you," he said, eyes sharp. "All of it paid with my money," I added. "Good. That helps us. Now we document everything." A day later, Blake received a call from Rachel's attorney, Monica Payne. They were making an offer: return 50% of the withdrawn funds in exchange for 50% equity in the house. "They're fishing," Blake said flatly. "Seeing if we'll bite. It's a test." "What do we tell them?" He smiled. "We tell them nothing. Let them sweat." While Blake handled the legal silence, I made another move, one Rachel would never see coming. I contacted HR at my trucking company and asked about the disability insurance I'd been paying into for 2 decades. "You're eligible for 60% of your salary for up to a year," the rep said. "You definitely qualify." That day, I filed the paperwork. Another source of income. And another thing Rachel didn't know existed. A few days after filing the disability paperwork, Travis and I took another quiet drive past the neighborhood. We stayed low, circled slowly. Just observing. That's when I saw it, a "for sale" sign staked on Marty Jensen's front lawn. "He's cutting and running," Travis muttered. I nodded, jaw tight. "And he's not going alone." The second we got home, I called Chloe. An hour later, she confirmed what we suspected. Marty had withdrawn close to $90,000 from several accounts in the past 48 hours. All in cashier's checks, a red flag if there ever was one. "They're liquidating," she said. "Looks like they're getting ready to disappear." I called Blake immediately. "We need to act now," I said. "They're about to vanish." To his credit, Blake didn't hesitate. "Tomorrow morning, I'll file for an emergency injunction. It'll freeze all assets and block the sale of any properties until the court reviews everything." I hung up, heart racing. The walls were closing in. And I wasn't about to let Rachel and Marty slip through a crack. The next morning, just as I was sipping a coffee on Travis's back porch, I got a new text, from Rachel. "We need to talk. Just you and me. No lawyers." I showed it to Travis, who raised an eyebrow. "They're panicking." "Good," I said. I forwarded the message to Blake. His reply came seconds later: "Don't respond. Injunction hearing is at 2 p.m. I arrived at the courthouse early and spotted them in the parking lot, Rachel and Marty, standing close, arguing in hushed tones. I didn't approach. Instead, I pulled out my phone and recorded them from a distance. Their body language said everything. The way she grabbed his arm. The way he shook his head. It was confirmation of their relationship, something Rachel had been denying under oath. Inside the building, Blake met me at the door. I showed him the video. He smiled. "Perfect timing," he said. Judge Harmon's already in a mood today. I straightened my collar. Let's not keep him waiting. Judge Harmon's chambers weren't large, just a few chairs, a long polished table, and shelves lined with law books that hadn't moved in decades. Rachel sat on one side with her attorney, Monica Payne. I sat across from them, Blake beside me, calm as ever. Marty wasn't allowed in. He wasn't part of the divorce proceedings. But the video I took of him and Rachel? That was very much part of the evidence now. Judge Harmon looked over the filings, flipping through pages with a tired but focused expression. Then, he leaned back and pressed play on the short clip of Rachel and Marty arguing in the courthouse parking lot. No sound, just gestures. Proximity, the unmistakable body language of two people entangled in more than neighborly concern. When the video ended, the judge turned to Monica. Ms. Payne, would you care to explain why your client has been denying a relationship with Mr. Jensen, when this evidence suggests otherwise? Monica looked visibly rattled. Your Honor, the nature of their personal relationship has no direct bearing on the financial matters before us. Judge Harmon raised an eyebrow. It does when financial fraud is alleged and that same individual appears to be involved in the concealment or movement of joint funds. He turned to Rachel. Mrs. Pierce, are you planning to leave the state with Mr. Jensen? Her face went pale. I don't. Let me rephrase, the judge said firmly. This court has evidence of substantial fund transfers. The impending sale of Mr. Jensen's home, and financial exploitation occurring while Mr. Pierce was medically incapacitated. All signs point to attempted flight. He looked at both attorneys. I am issuing an immediate freeze on all financial assets in the names of Rachel Pierce and Martin Jensen. Neither may sell property, transfer funds, or leave the county without written court permission. Then he turned to me. Given Mr. Pierce's ongoing recovery and the vulnerability demonstrated during his hospitalization, I am granting temporary exclusive use of the marital home to Mr. Pierce effective immediately. Rachel made a strangled sound like she wanted to protest, but Monica placed a hand on her arm, silently urging her to stay quiet. The judge gathered his papers. This court takes the exploitation of a medically vulnerable spouse very seriously. Ms. Payne, your client is fortunate I am not referring this to the district attorney. As we left the room, I caught Rachel's eyes for the first time in weeks. And for once, she looked afraid. 3 months after the heart attack, I moved back into the house, my house now. Rachel was gone. She didn't even try to fight the court's temporary order after the injunction hearing. Maybe it was the video, maybe it was the judge's warning, or maybe Marty bolting scared her more than she let on. Marty disappeared a week after the hearing. The "for sale" sign on his lawn vanished overnight, and so did he. No forwarding address. No contact. Just gone. That left Rachel to deal with the fallout alone. Blake worked fast. With the freeze in place and evidence stacked on our side, the divorce moved through the system faster than anyone expected. Rachel's attorney backed off the aggressive approach. The leverage we had was too strong. In the final settlement, the court awarded me the house, my truck, and 80% of the savings from our known accounts. Rachel kept her car and 20%. But that was before Blake deducted my legal fees from her share, a detail she hadn't anticipated. As for the secret account Chloe uncovered, the judge ruled that although it was under Rachel's name, the pattern of deposits and timing, coinciding with my absence and income schedule, suggested those funds were marital. The balance was split 50-50. But not before she paid restitution for unauthorized withdrawals during my hospitalization. We never spoke again. Every message went through attorneys. The last I heard, Rachel had moved to Minneapolis. Starting over, I guess. 6 months later, I sold the house. Too many memories. Too many ghosts in the walls. I bought a smaller place closer to Travis and Chloe, where things were quiet, peaceful. I used part of the money to help Chloe with law school tuition. After everything she did, it felt right. She's going to be a hell of an attorney one day, one who doesn't miss the details people try to hide. As for me, I left long-haul trucking behind. My heart couldn't take the stress anymore. The doctor said. So now I work dispatch, home every night, no more cross-country runs. It's not the life I thought I'd have. But it's mine now. It's funny how life rebuilds itself, quietly. Piece by piece. Some nights, I still wake up thinking I'm in the cab of my rig, halfway to Nevada, rain pelting the windshield. But then I look around and see the small bedroom. The familiar silence of home. No Rachel. No lies. No storm waiting to hit me in the morning. Last week, I was cleaning out some old boxes when I found it, our wedding album. The cover was dusty. The corners frayed from moving so many times. I sat down and flipped through it, page by page. Our smiles looked real back then. Maybe they were. Or maybe I just wanted them to be. I thought about tossing it. But I didn't. I closed it and placed it back in the box. Not because I missed her. Not because I still cared. But because it was part of my story now. A chapter 1 survived. The heart attack nearly killed me. Her betrayal nearly broke me. But I came through both, not bitter, just changed. Stronger in ways I never expected. People ask if I'm angry. I'm not. I learned that you can't control what someone else does, you can only control how you respond. Rachel thought she was taking everything from me that day she drained the account. Instead, she gave me something else. Freedom. The freedom to start again. The clarity to see who really mattered. The chance to build a quieter, more honest life. These days, I find peace in the small things, coffee on the porch, check-ins with Chloe, weekend dinners with Travis. No drama. No pretending. And no more blind trust. Some people walk out of your life and leave a hole. Others walk out and leave room to finally breathe. Rachel did the latter. And I thank her for it, silently. Without a word, every time I wake up and realize I've finally found peace.